More scoring for Carolina? How about a dude that dropped 40 on Alabama this year?
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Carolina content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making this your first listen or watch of the day to get your Thursday started the right way. You can catch every single one of these episodes ad-free on Amazon Music as well. Check it all out. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Coming up on the show today, we got a little basketball, we got a little football, and things are crazy in football right now. The transfer portal for football opened on Wednesday, and it was just like exodus. We got to talk about that. Does Bill Belichick know what he's doing, or are things going bad at Kenan Stadium? We'll look at that. Plus, that means some holes to fill for Carolina. We'll look at those as well. But first, I want to continue to look, despite the fact that Carolina has landed a lot in the transfer portal, and despite the fact that they might be done, there is a clamoring for more shooting. There is a clamoring for perhaps another guard. And so I want to continue to dive into that, into transfer portal potential targets and offer potentials, because I know that there is a thirst and a hunger for that amongst the people that are listening to and watching this. And so I want to provide that. The reason I know that, first off, I've been advocating for adding another guard, either a backup point guard or some more shooting, or somebody that can do both, like Kyan Evans. But I felt like, I think there's a lot of people out there that would like that as well. So in the minutes before I started recording, I've just put up a poll on YouTube, because you can do that on YouTube. It's not just Twitter. And basically, I just said, should Carolina add more in the transfer portal or be done? I said, if add, comment below a player or position you think they should add. And again, this was not that long ago, like less than 30 minutes ago. It's already up to 120 votes. And how about this? 90% of the responses so far are add more. Just 10% are be done. So to that point, we're going to talk about adding more, baby, because clearly everybody wants to hear more about it. I just said it, but I would like specifically one more. And I would like it to be, I have advocated for a backup point guard, but I also very much hear the argument for a shooter. And as Coach Davis has said, a shooter with size. That's what he's looking to add, size and shooting. On Wednesday morning, Joe Tipton from On3 reported that North Dakota transfer and South Carolina commit Treysen Eaglestaff was actually decommitting from the Gamecocks. So, hey, why on earth would you not want a dude named Treysen Eaglestaff on your team? That's just incredible and phenomenal. Get him to Chapel Hill as soon as you can. And second, I need to point out that I'm going to talk about Eaglestaff and that he is an Isaac target. I have seen and heard zero connection from Carolina to him at this point. This is just all like, this seems like the type of player that you might target in the scenario that Carolina's in and who they're looking for. Because to the point of size and shooting, Eaglestaff fits the bill for that. He is a 6'6", 190-pound guard. More of a shooting guard than a point guard. Not a massive assist guy, but he does have good positional size, and he does have the shooting. For his career, 37.1% from beyond the arc on 6.1 attempts a game. Y'all, that's for his career. This dude has played 3 years at North Dakota. He has never had a season below 35.9%. His freshman year, 37.5% on 4.6 attempts a game. His sophomore year, 38.3% on 6.5 attempts a game. And this past year, 35.9% on 7.1 attempts per game. Now, this past year was the lowest percentage of his career, but he was also taking more threes than he ever had before. And so there's a balance to that. Like somebody that is capable of knocking them down at the level he's at, I'd almost like you to take more, even if it means the percentage coming down a little bit because of how it opens everything up and spacing and all of that. And so, yes, he's never shot 40% from beyond the arc, but he's never been lower than 30, basically 36%. That is a floor I can 100% live with, because that's the range I'm looking for as a team. 35 to 36%. That's what national champions shoot from beyond the arc. That's what you need. He also has deep range. Made 10 threes last year that were 25 feet or deeper. I love that. But beyond the size and shooting, he's a scorer. And, when there's a clamoring, right? Just on yesterday's show, Josh Marlowe and I talked about, who's the dude? Who's the scorer? We both said Kyan Evans. But you want to keep looking for more guys to add to that, because I think there is a balance that Carolina projects to have next season in scoring, and Eaglestaff would bring that as well. His freshman year, 8.4 points a game to 14.4 his sophomore year to 18.9 last year for North Dakota. And it's not just the threes, although that is a big thing. He's hit 80 or more threes in each of the past 2 seasons. But this past season, he took more 2-point attempts than 3-point attempts, 256 to 234. I love that balance from him. Not RJ Davis level at the free throw line, but 79.4%, which is a reminder that we're spoiled by RJ, but you got other great shooters on this team, and being right around 80% is great. Something else is, one of the with Cade Tyson is he wasn't somebody necessarily that was able to do it by himself. For Eaglestaff, he's 83rd percentile nationally in isolation possessions, 1.06 points per possession, meaning he can create and handle for himself. He is a scorer and he can do it. Also, high volume scoring, career high 51 points at North Dakota, and that came in a conference tournament game this past year against South Dakota State. 51. I don't care if it's Summit League or not. That's a crud ton of points, man. Now, with every player, there are and there are a couple that you just look at. Eaglestaff is not much of a rebounder, and that Coach Davis is going to want that. His career, this past year averaged 2.8 rebounds a game, which is a career high. He's not much of an assist man. He had a career high 2.4 assists per game last year. That said, he was asked to do a lot of scoring at North Dakota. He had a 14% assist rate. But when you watch him, don't just look at numbers and assume When you watch him, the instincts are there. And I think that if he was at a place like Carolina where there was more scoring around him, I think those numbers go up. I don't know, is that he was doing this at North Dakota with a crazy high usage rate, over 25%. It was 26.9% last year. He would have to get by without, he just wouldn't have that high a usage rate at Carolina. I can almost guarantee it. So could he produce at the same level, both from beyond the arc and just getting the ball in the bucket, with a usage rate that was probably significantly lower than that? That's something to watch out for. Got 1 year of eligibility left, does Eaglestaff, so that's the thing. Now, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Is this Cade Tyson 2.0? There is that fear. There is that wondering. There's that, I don't know. Because Cade Tyson comes up from Belmont and it just didn't work. But you also have to recognize there's somebody like Grant Nelson. Literally came from this same conference and it did fine. So I don't want to just paint with the broad brush. Oh, you're from the Summit League. You're not going to pan out. That said, it is a real and legitimate thing for us to feel like, I'm not trying to have another Cade Tyson situation on our hands. I think a couple things that I would say to that. Number one, the scouting department with Jim Tanner coming in and other people on it is better this year. And there's the high awareness from the Carolina staff because of last year of that. Part of what I like about bringing in someone like Eaglestaff, if there's some potential Cade Tyson fear, I don't think that the 25-26 Tar Heels need to rely on Eaglestaff shooting if they were to get him, as much as they needed Cade Tyson to do that last year, and he didn't, and that's a big part of why Carolina struggled. I think Carolina has enough pieces, even without Eaglestaff, that they wouldn't have to rely on that. Another thing that makes me feel better about Eaglestaff is you just look at the type of schools that are in on him. Kansas, Kentucky, Gonzaga. Those were the schools that were in the hunt for him when he committed to South Carolina. Now you might ask, why did he decommit from South Carolina? I wonder if it's either a financial thing. Maybe he's like, I might have jumped the gun a little bit and I want to see if I can land somewhere bigger. I can't blame him there. And then another thing that makes me feel okay about Eaglestaff is that we've seen him do it against high major competition, none other than Alabama, by the way. So Nate Oates last year took Alabama up to North Dakota for like a home game for Grant Nelson, the way Roy Williams used to do for players, for example. In that game, Eaglestaff dropped 40 burger on the Tide, 40. And they almost sprung the upset. It wasn't just that he scored well, it's that the team played well. This game, like Alabama ended up winning 97-90, but the game was tied with 2 minutes to go. It was tied, 2 minutes left. In that game, he was 15 of 30 from the field, 8 of 18 from three, 7 of 12 from twos, and 2 of 2 at the free throw line. 8 threes, by the way, would have tied a single game record at Carolina. So there's all that with Eaglestaff. Look, is it a guarantee? Absolutely not. Will Carolina even look at him? No guarantees with that. Is he surefire that if he came, it would work well? No. But also, is he a make or break player for this team? Absolutely not. Carolina, I think with what they have right now, are in good position. This would be some cherry on top. This would be some icing on the cake. This would be whatever kind of thing like that you want to say. I think it's worth a look. And I think Carolina should strongly consider somebody like Treysen Eaglestaff. Worth looking. Because again, this is somebody with size and shooting, and that's what Hubert Davis has declared that he is looking for. Well, let's move from the basketball transfer portal, where things have gone quite well already for the Tar Heels, to the football transfer portal, which reopened on Wednesday. And oh my, there was a flood of outgoing talent. Why'd that happen? We'll look at that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting you with top freelance talent across multiple industries, things like IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Maybe you need someone to help with a marketing campaign. Well, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert to deliver incredible results. Posting a job with Upwork, it's free, it's simple, and within a day, they can help you find multiple qualified candidates to choose from. So instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. That is so cost-effective, man. I love it. So visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. Again, that's Upwork, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. So the transfer portal opened for football on Wednesday. Obviously, the big news around the country was Nico Iamaleava from Tennessee and all that craziness over the weekend with Tennessee like being done and out on him. Carolina was connected to him. It didn't make much sense to me. Sounds like from Wednesday he officially hopped in the portal, and it's been back and forth. It sounds like he's going to go to UCLA, though, and get nowhere near that $4 million that was bandied about. Kind of interesting. Well, Carolina, as you would probably expect coming off of spring practice, like after spring practice, the spring portal opens, and just about every year you're going to lose some guys as they start to realize, like, oh, I'm not as high on the depth chart as maybe I hoped or thought I was going to be or thought I was going to be. All the more so when a new regime comes in, and one like the Belichick of it all that is wildly different than Mac Browne. And so not so surprisingly, there are defections into the portal. None of them too crazy or surprising, except on Tuesday night with Beau Atkinson. I mentioned this on yesterday's show because it happened literally just before Josh Marlowe and I started recording. But that to me is a big, big fat blow for Carolina, particularly obviously on the defensive side of the football. Quite a few other names happened. There was one other on Tuesday night. Zion Ferguson, the redshirt cornerback, is out the door. The other one that was kind of like, curious, was Ryan Browne, quarterback who had transferred in December from Purdue, took basically most of the first team reps at Practice Like a Pro on Saturday, and then on Wednesday entered the transfer portal. I've got thoughts about why that happened. I actually want to talk about that in the next segment, so stick around because we're going to talk about filling holes. But I think this to me is a clear sign of some writing on the wall. We'll get to that. Just run through others quickly, but then I've got a takeaway of like why I think this is happening. 3 kickers. I kid you not. I crap you not. 3 kickers. I'm going to give it the, anybody seen Inglorious B Words with Brad Pitt? Remember this scene where the 3-finger giveaway? Yeah. Wow. Stressful. Anyway, 3 kickers, Lucas Osada, Liam Boyd, and Jaffer Murphy all enter the transfer portal on Wednesday. Interesting. Again, I think it is showing of some other things that we can take away. Joel Starlings, another defensive lineman, enters the transfer portal. You also had another edge on the defensive line, Mally Hamrick. He set out spring, not all that surprising, but that's like 3 different defensive linemen in addition to Beau. So you've got all that. Got a couple wide receivers. Gavin Blackwell, who's been around for a while, started for Carolina at times as a wide receiver. Thought he was going in the portal in December. Didn't. So this ends up making some sense. To me, Christian Hamilton, I was kind of bummed about this, also entering the transfer portal. I was curious to see what he would do and what kind of time he might get. Just a couple other names. Zach Rice, the highly talented or at least highly ranked recruit coming in several years ago, a 5-star offensive lineman, just never really panned out. Hadn't got that many snaps. Most of his snaps have been on special teams, and he's out the door. I hope for good things for him and all these guys. And then the Law brothers, Cruz and Cade Law, have done most of their work also on special teams. And so there's that. Okay. So there's a whole list of dudes that entered on Wednesday. I think I have everybody, but it was a floodgate, and I was just trying to keep up. Here's what I want to say about it, though. The hoodie is a shrewd individual. Lombardi is a shrewd individual. My imagination is that, yes, you lose some of these guys naturally, but some of them, Beau Atkinson notwithstanding, I would imagine, it's not this much just natural selection. I think some of this has to be the hoodie and Lombardi intentionally ushering some guys out the door. You know, hey, maybe give some thought to the fact that you're not going to get playing time. Yeah, maybe give some thought to the fact that this ain't going to work out this year. And that's part of the deal. And you don't know for what. Is it a lack of skill? Is it a lack of aligning with the new schemes and regime and all that? Is it you don't work hard enough? With Belichick, man, who knows what it could be if we're being honest. And it's interesting. I've seen 2 schools of thought throughout the day on Wednesday. There's a school of thought where it's the typical fan response of like, oh my gosh, freak out, what's happening? Things are going terribly. And that's understandable, man. When you've got this flood of people, I get that. And then there's another subset of people that are like, I trust Bill Belichick. We'll see what happens. And then there's some mixed in between that's like, I trust Bill Belichick, but that's a lot of dudes. Are we going to have a roster? What's happening? So there's all of that. But to me, I see this list and I say, it leads me to say, I think they are making intentional moves and the portal's open and we're going to see things that happen. So I'm not in freak out mode. I mean, I saw people like, oh my gosh, we're going to win 2 football games. This is done. It's over. We're screwed. All of that. I'm not ready for that at all. It may happen. But I think Bill Belichick has earned enough of a leash throughout his career for me to give him the benefit of the doubt until he gives me reason not to give him the benefit of the doubt. And even though it's his first year coaching college, I get that. But I'm in wait and see mode, and I lean towards trusting it. You might wildly disagree with me. Fine, great. That's why we do this in sports, because we can argue and go back and forth about it. So I'd love to talk more about it with you. Now, you have all these guys out, and so that then means, all right, there's holes to fill. There might be some of these positions where it's just like, we lost you, but we're good at that position. I've identified just a couple positions of particular note that I think are worth talking about. And there might be more, but just the ones I want to talk about for today. And that's what we're going to do in just a second. Stick around. We'll have that conversation right after I tell you about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props, things like three-pointers, steals, assists, whatever it is. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, even after the game tips off, you can combine a bunch of those prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance at a bigger payday. How cool is that? We're talking football right now. There's some college football odds already. Carolina's first game against TCU, Heels favored by 2.5 over the Horned Frogs. Take that, TCU in Fort Worth. Carolina's regular season win total still set at 7.5. You can get in on any of that kind of action. Go check it all out. Don't miss out. Head on over to FanDuel.com today and claim your $250 in bonus bets. Check it all out at FanDuel.com. 4 specific positions I want to discuss, or position groups, either way you want to look at it, of like, all right, so there's all this portal movement on Wednesday. What happens now? The first I want to talk about, and we could go in a multitude of orders. I'm tempted to talk D-line first because of Beau Atkinson being the most critical, but I think quarterback is obviously the place that a lot of people want to start. So let's do that first. And I don't think I would have put this position on this list of holes to fill before the Ryan Browne portal entry, because I kind of was operating under the assumption of like, well, you've got Ryan Browne. I know he doesn't have much of a track record yet, but there's a lot of people that believed in him. And you got Bryce Baker. Between the two of them, and if Max Johnson gets back healthy and in, at whatever point that is, you got some competition, you got some depth. Even if whatever, you're in good shape there. And that's why with all the Nico news, I was like, they're not going after Nico. But then this happens. Ryan Browne enters the portal on Wednesday. Bryce Baker on Saturday at Practice Like a Pro, there were some moments where he looked really good. There were some others that were pretty rough around the edges. I'll put it that way, right? Where there's some growth before he'd be ready. Max Johnson obviously isn't ready yet. He's not back from his injury. And while it seems like Nico's not an option, sounds like there's a lot of smoke around Gio Lopez, the South Alabama transfer. My take on this is that there were conversations with Ryan Browne where he was likely explicitly told, we're going to go after Gio Lopez. He's our guy. Would love for you to stick around if you want to, but just know you got a big time battle on your hands. And so I think Ryan Browne saw the writing on the wall with that and was like, all right, I've been here 4 or 5 months. I'm out. That's how I read that. Defensive line. Beau Atkinson is the massive loss here. You lose Hamrick as well. Less of a thing. Joel Starling's. And on the interior of the D-line with Starlings and others, like this was already a thin group, in my opinion. Starlings, I don't think it was a massive factor in that, but it is another depth piece. And so all across the defensive front, I think you got to go hard in the transfer portal right now because you lose Atkinson. And I think he was going to be a major contributor on the defense this year. I mean, I was so excited to see what he could do. And now, you hear reports he's talking to Georgia, he's talking to Ohio State. I mean, that's the caliber of player it sounds like that is looked at by that caliber, that breed of school. That's an honor. And that hurts. That's going to be tough. So Carolina has to, I think this to me might be the biggest area of need, defensive line, all across it, interior, exterior, all of it. So we'll watch to see if Carolina can land anything there. And if they do, is it players who are like, it's got to be players who are ready to step in and go today, meaning this season. You're not looking for projects. I mean, yeah, sure, for down the road, but you need dudes to step in right now, right away. That's what Lombardi has to go get. A couple other positions. This one is funny to me. I wouldn't have thought we would have been talking about this, but here we are. This is what happens when you lose a trio of kickers in one day. Now, the funny thing is, I actually want to bring this one up because I think these guys all transfer out because the position has been won. But I still wanted to talk about it. So you might think, oh man, we had these 3 kicker portal entries. Oh boy, what are we going to do? You would think Carolina might be in need here. But the exits, to me, seem to be a clear indication that point to Michigan transfer Adam Samaha as having landed the job, essentially. He is the new, Vinatieri, right? Hopefully, man, that would be clutch. You've also got a freshman, Gaetano Bartolomeo, coming in. And then just for the depth of it, I wouldn't mind adding one more back. Obviously, the guys that entered the portal, I don't think you can get them back, but would love to add somebody else. I think that'd be helpful. So we'll see there. But I do think, again, I think this means Samaha has locked up the job. Great. Love to see that. And then the last position is wide receiver. You know, we talked about losing those 2 guys. You lose both Blackwell and Hamilton. Again, I think probably saw some writing on the wall of like, hey, we might not be getting a ton of time. There's other dudes that the coaching staff believes in, whatever, but you do lose them both. You've got this situation with J.J. Jones suing the NCAA right now. We'll see if anything comes of that, if he's able to come back and play. And he got a group of 4 or 5 other wide receivers that I'm like, all right, got to hold on to these dudes. And I think that's probably close to enough, especially if J.J. Jones can come back. But I would be active in the wide receiver portal during this transfer portal season. I would just be on the lookout for that as well. So, man, it was I assumed Carolina would lose some dudes on Wednesday, but it was wild out there. In fact, Anthony Pagnotta was supposed to join me on today's show, and he was like, Schade, I got it back out, buddy. Rain check. I'm sorry. I got to get write-ups done on all these for Heel Tough blog, and I apologize. Like, dude, you got to go do you, man. And so we'll get Pags on soon, and we'll talk some football stuff, and that'll be great. But, man, wild day. So we'll see what transpires. I wouldn't be shocked to see a lot more happening. Obviously, Carolina is going to continue to look to add, and so we'll see. Stay tuned for all of that. We'll have some great football stuff coming up all summer long, just along with basketball and baseball and everything else, man. It'll be great. If you've not subscribed to Locked On Tar Heels on YouTube, go ahead and do that right now so you don't miss a second of our show. Hit that bell notification so you get notified anytime an episode goes live or hops in or premiere or whatever it is. If you're not part of our Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, we'd love to see you there. It is a community of over 500 Tar Heel fans who are passionate, who love to talk. It's a safe place, man. We don't put up with foul language. We don't put up with belittling people. It is, we're doing our best for it to be a healthy place for fans. So come check it out. That link is in the show notes. If you want to go even deeper, Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program. You get direct access to me. You get all of my portal entry rumors and talk and all that stuff, all coming at you. So come join us there. That link is also in the show notes. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll keep up with everything that's going on. We're with you all off season long. That's my promise to you. We'll talk again tomorrow. Coach Bill Robinson will be with me. It's going to be a blast. But until then, peace.